The future of NightReign is looking as good as ever with the most anticipated ever Dark bosses coming out for the next few weeks, alongside the leaks of the new rank-like mode. In today's video, we're going to discuss just what to expect from the DLC, as there's actually a lot of content to come. So sit back and relax as we dig deep into speculation, and by the end of this video, I can guarantee you will be left excited. So hey guys, Ruger here, and this is the future of NightReign. When can we expect the DLC to arrive? Well, NightReign came out on the 30th of May, and then just 3 weeks later, we saw the first ever Dark Storm come out on the 19th of June, with the subsequent enhanced bosses being released a week apart on the 26th and then the 3rd of July. Then for the next 3 weeks, we had these bosses rotate back in pairs from the 10th of July to the 31st. On the 31st, began the rollout of the next 4 bosses starting from August. This means for the next 3 weeks, we have the next 3 bosses rotating in on the 7th, 14th, and 21st. Judging from the previous record, we can expect to see a rotation of these 4 bosses come out in pairs for the next 4 weeks from the 28th to the 25th of September. I feel like this is the best time to release the new ranked mode when these next 4 bosses rotate in pairs, as it would keep the player engagement high while not really having to release any new content. And then finally, on the 25th, we would see the Everdark Kjolster boss from the 25th to the 2nd of October. That puts us in Q4 of the calendar year, which is when the DLC is slated to come out. So now it could come out anywhere from the 2nd of October to 31st December. I feel quite confident that the DLC would come out by the end of October. I'm sure by next year they would want to start ramping up their marketing cycle for the Duskbloods and wouldn't want to step in its toes. Okay, so now that we have a timeline of when it could come out, this is why I think you should be excited for the DLC. First off, given the information we know, the DLC states that there will be new Nightfarers and Night Lords. I think we can expect to see at least 2 new Nightfarers and 2 Night Lords. I could be hopeful and say 4 of each, but let's be conservative here. 2 new Nightfarers means that we will get 2 brand new starting weapons unique to those Nightfarers. These Nightfarers will also have their own unique passive, skill, and ultimate. This also means they'll get their own remembrance quests and skins, along with the Dawn, Darkness, Remembrance, and Throwback skins. I could also see from throwing new skins for the existing Nightfarers. And 2 new Night Lords actually means a lot of content. Let's dig into this. If there are 2 new Night Lords, that means there will be a new night boss added for each Night Lord. This could be 1 for each day for each Night Lord, meaning 4 in total, or it could be a pool of a few new different night bosses. Now it is likely that these night bosses are tough enemies and bosses from the DLC. I would love to see the Divine Dancing Lion, Death Knights, as well as the Putrescent Knight. I can also personally see these bosses being added as field bosses. But also, we could potentially see some more bosses return from the Dark Souls series. I don't know about you, but that does get me excited. Maybe From wants to make up for their misleading marketing and, add more than just a few. I would love to see Gravelord Nito, Ornstein and Smaw, or any of the DLC bosses from Dark Souls 1. Dark Lurker, Fume Knight, or the Looking Glass Knight from DS2, Abyss Watchers, Champion Gunder, or maybe Demon Prince from DS3. But, a man can hope. Since the DLC is expected to be tougher, I chose these bosses in particular. This also means that there will be new seeds added to the game for each of these Night Lords. Each Night Lord gets 20 base seeds, that's 40 in total. But they also get 5 seeds per Shifting Earth event, meaning that's 40 more seeds, totaling to 80 brand new seeds. But it doesn't stop there. If we are expecting to see at least 2 new Shifting Earth events, that means each of the then total 10 Night Lords will get 5 new seeds for each Shifting Earth. That's 500 seeds in total. If there are 4 Night Lords added and 4 Shifting Earth events, that number goes up to a whopping 720, but I don't think that will be the case. I would love to be wrong though. What could these Shifting Earths actually look like? If we look at the different biomes in the base game's map, we've already gotten Volcano Manor with the crater, Mountaintop is done too. I would argue that Caelid is basically the rotten swamp. I feel like Lendl is very similar to Nocleteo. Lernia is not that unique from Limgrave and is quite empty to be a shifting earth in my opinion. And Limgrave is Limveld, so that leaves us with Altus Plateau, though I could see the map's color change for the new bosses, similar to how it changes for the final Night Lord. So that leaves us with Farum Azula and Mikola's Halictree, and honestly, both would serve as great shifting earths that stand out. But what if these shifting earths are inspired from the DLC's biomes? Firstly, I think if they were to do a castle like Shifting Earth again, it could either be inspired from Shadow Keep or Ener Ilum, as both are quite distinct from their color palette from the other shifting earths, even Nocleteo. Then the Rare Runes would be a good candidate too, since they could make it similar to the mountaintop and they could add the DLC bear bosses. I could very easily see that happen. Then what I really think is unlikely is either Abyssal Woods or the Finger Ruins. If I had to say what I think would come, I feel like it has to be the Halictree or Farum Azula, but then again, I feel like it's a DLC and they're taking stuff from the DLC, so they might want to take the biomes from there too. But we'll just have to wait and find out. Okay, so what else will be added? Of course, we expect to see the DLC weapons added to the loot pool. That's 103 weapons and 42 spells and incantations. But not only that, but we'll also see DLC talismans and consumables. There's a pool of 39 talismans to choose from, and the consumables in Elden Ring's DLC are quite cool and would really add a lot of variety in the consumables loot pool. All sorts of hefty pots, dragon flesh, stews, different greases, some crazy stuff like the fire coil and the call of Tibia. Finally, we would be able to throw big pots back at the pot trolls. I'm also expecting to see some new relics being added to the DLC, which I'm hoping will change the meta. What else could we see though? There may be some of those random invasions being added. Ever since I played the game, I've always envisioned seeing an invasion similar to Morgoth, but instead it's Mesmer. And that scares the absolute crap out of me. That would be absolutely crazy if they did that, but highly unlikely. I do hope they do add some new invasions that actually pose a threat, because I don't think anyone is scared of the Augur invasion or any invasion. I think Morgoth is the only one, right? Let's be honest here. Hopefully we'll also get to see some much needed field bosses. Finally, we can expect to see a similar rollout of the DLC Night Lords' The DLC Night Lords' enhanced versions. One thing to add, the castle in the middle could also see a different pool of enemies too, which is much needed, since in almost every run you're likely hitting the castle. So that's a lot of content to come from this game. New bosses, Night Lords, weapons, seeds, remembrance quests, skins, innovations. There seems to be a lot to NightReign. This is just what we're assuming is coming. But there is still stuff that they could potentially surprise us with, similar to the leaked rank mode. I don't think anyone was expecting that. Well, what else do you expect to see from this DLC? What is on your wish list? And that's about it for this video. Be sure to subscribe if you liked, and yeah.